second chance in the game.
Hello, I'm Roger VanDeZande, head football coach at Fayette High School in Fayette, Missouri. Glad to be talking with you today about a great subject, turning a football program around using a double wing offense. And this goes back for me now 29 years using the double wing, and I have to thank one person in particular, and that's Coach Don Markham, who I coached with in Bandon, Oregon in 1990, 91, and 92. And up to Don's passing last spring, he's been a mentor for me, and I hope this does credit to everything he taught me. We've used the double wing offense now at 4 different high schools, 2 in Oregon now and 2 in Missouri. The year before the offense, the teams that we took over were teams that had been struggling for quite some time. And on the graphic, you can see the difference between the year before we started the double wing offense and our first 3 years of those schools after installing the double wing. And it made us tremendously successful by comparison. Here at Fayette High School, the football program has been here for 60 years, and this past season in 2018 we had the most successful season in program history. Finished the year 11-2, and we're co-champions of our conference, champions of our district. We're ranked number 2 in the state of Missouri and lost in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So it's been a big change for us. Last 3 years here in Fayette, we've been 25-9. Had some excellent kids to work with, very willing to learn, and some tremendous assistant coaches. So all those programs were kind of on the bottom of the conference or near the bottom of the conference, but after that, several conference championships or district titles, trips to the state playoffs, and when I was with Don Markham, of course, 1 trip to the state championship in Oregon. So I'm thinking there's some very simple lessons I've learned, and they've lasted me now 29 years. So Bandon was the worst team in the conference in 1989. 2 seasons later, finished the season 11-2 in a 13-game season and lost in a state title game to a team that in any other state would have been 1 or 2 classifications higher just by size. At Southern Boone, when I came into Missouri in 2009, Southern Boone High School had been on a 19-game losing streak. And our first year, we had more wins than the previous 4 years combined. In 2008, Southern Boone scored only 86 points all season. And I told all the kids at the time, I said, if you'll stick with me, there's going to be some time when you're in high school that you'll score more points in 1 game than you scored in that entire season. And that was true when we scored over 90 points in a game 2 years later. So it's been a great offense for us, obviously. Here in Fayette, I like to say we measure our offense now in miles rather than yards, and it's been fantastic running the double wing, and we've had the kids to do a good job of it. The thing about the kids, though, when I go from one school to the next, one of the key common denominators is that I tell the kids that there's nothing different about you than there is about any other school that I've been to. So you hear a lot of people talk about, I had a great quarterback to run the offense, or I had a great tailback, or I had a great, name the position. But when I get to a school, there's nothing different about those kids than any other school. What it takes is some development in the weight room, and that's probably part of the 3 things we really do. It's the double wing offense, it's how we hit the weight room, and it's an aggressive defense. So those are the 3 elements of what we do to turn programs around. So when you look back at programs that are struggling, however, there's some common factors. The first is complexity, especially on the offense. So, you'll see some teams that struggle. 1 week they're running a lot of speed option, the next week they're trying to go 4 wide or 5 wide and throw it around. Next week they're trying to run the wishbone. There's just kind of a grab bag going on. It's very confusing. Well, of course, it's confusing to players. It's hard to communicate. Coaches use different terminology. You spend a lot of time paralysis by analysis, just trying to break down things and study, and you get fewer reps. Everything gets slowed down. So complexity is really a common element in teams that struggle. Practice time gets limited. You don't have the time to master all the different concepts you're trying to put in. And so one of the very key things we try to remember is what Paul Brown many years ago told his teams. It's not what we know as coaches that counts. It's what the players can learn or have learned that counts. Another common element in struggling programs is inconsistency. That is, the offense is changing week to week, and you end up doing reaction planning on every phase of the game rather than action planning. So, we tackled poorly one week. Well, we better work on tackling. We didn't cover well. We better work on coverage. We didn't block well. We got to work on blocking, rather than having an overall plan and attacking that every single week, no matter what happens. So you've got to have something that kids can trust in. You got to be consistent. Consistency breeds confidence. The third element is what coaches have done with the personnel. At Southern Boone, we had a wingback. He played for me his sophomore, junior, and senior season. And his freshman year, he's actually the starting center. So he was a starting center on a team that went 0-10. Then beginning in his sophomore year, he was our leading ball carrier, wound up rushing for over 5,000 yards and was All-State twice. So sometimes players are just out of position. The other thing is, coaches a lot of times will go by kind of the eyeball test. They'll look at a kid and think, you ought to be a good receiver. Well, sometimes the eyeball test doesn't matter. I can think back to the first practice we had in Oregon at Bandon High School with Don Markham. We walked out, he said, hey, let's stretch for about 10 minutes, and he there was no lines. Kids were stretching or standing around talking. We got people up, we put everybody in a line, and we just played catch. Sent kids on a deep route, threw them a ball. Within 10 minutes, we knew who could catch and who could throw. We had 4 tight ends, we had 2 quarterbacks within 10 minutes. It was just easy we timed kids in a 40-yard dash. If you were the slowest guy, the biggest and slowest, you were probably a center. If you were the next slowest, you're probably tackles, and if you're pretty big and could run a little bit, you're probably a guard. So you just have to make decisions, and it's not always on the eyeball test. Bronco Mendenhall said when he was at BYU, you have to get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and put the right people in the right seats, and I think that's definitely true. Strength program is a humongous part of what we do. We go into teams that have struggled. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong, and we look at the weight program, and the first thing is, what's the purpose? I've known guys that say, my wife was a bodybuilder, so we should run her program. Or I know a friend of mine who was the strength coach for the Packers, in the NFL. He should be our strength coach. Or I have some people in town that run a fitness studio. They do great workouts. We should have them help us. But you got to decide what's your purpose. You don't have NFL players. You're not dealing with players that are between 22 years of age and 30 years of age. You're not trying to do a class for women that are between the ages of 30 and 40. You're not bodybuilders. You're not on show. You're trying to develop kids that are 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and teach them how to develop to be strong, fast, and big. So what you do in the weight room is very important. Now, the principle of duplication, I like to think of it as Ray Kroc when he got McDonald's franchises. You took a successful franchise and duplicated it in multiple places. Didn't change anything about the formula, only changed locations. And I think both in the weight room and in the offense, you can change locations and have the same kind of success if you stick to that principle of duplication. The 2 rules that we talk about are, Rule 1, everyone lift. And Rule 2 is eat 6 meals a day. And I tell kids every time I go to a new school, if you'll follow those 2 rules, you will be in a position for a league championship or a conference championship or state playoffs. If you don't follow those 2 rules, you can't put it on me. As soon as the kids will do that kind of work and what we ask them in the weight room and what we do in the offense, they are going to be in a position to win a league title. So what you find is all those causes, complexity, inconsistency, poor personnel decisions, the wrong strength program, that equals frustration, helplessness, no belief, hopelessness. Pretty soon it snowballs, negative expectations, negative results, and then pretty soon everybody's just blaming each other. So to turn it around, you use a strength program, an aggressive defense, and a double wing offense. In addition to the double wing, it's really important that you also follow some very positive guidelines. The first is to build people up. I know Don Markham always said, when he looked at a team, he said, it's not the kids' fault. They're just kids. Everybody's got high school kids. When I go to play another team, I look across the field, and I know that there's just a bunch of high school kids over there too. So you've got to realize it's just not the player's fault. I had the chance to go from VanDeZande High School, where I coached with Don Markham, to Gold Beach High School, just down the Oregon coast a little ways, and that was a team that we had already beaten by scores of something like 84-8, 70-6. I mean, we'd beat Gold Beach pretty good. Well, a few years later, I took over Gold Beach, and I went in and said the same thing. It says, not the player's fault. It's not your fault. You're just like those other guys are. We just have to do certain things. The second thing was major in the majors. That means you got to spend most of your time doing what's most important. For us, it's running, hitting, it's blocking, tackling. It's not how fancy we are. I heard a coach this year at the AFCA convention. He said, we're not going to do 10,000 things 10 times. We're going to do 10 things 10,000 times. And I figured one time, if you ran our off-tackle play with me when you came in as a freshman, you probably ran it 5,000 times by the time you graduated. We try to put our players in the right places. Like I said, we test them. We test their speed. We know because of our offense, there's a way they fit in really well, and we put them in the right places. And repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is the mother of learning. We tell our people that we want to keep it simple, yes, but we want to make it something special. That's the MISS, make it something special. So we know that simplicity plus execution plus repetition is greater than multiplicity, complexity, and diversion. Whenever kids do something right, you got to reward it, and we do that every day. We want to talk about what we want and not what we don't want. A lot of coaches I've heard over the years you want to talk about securing the football. You don't want to say, don't fumble, or let's not fumble. You want to just say, protect the ball. You want to say things in a positive way, what you want to do rather than what you don't want to do. Many years ago when they built the Bay Area Rapid Transit Center in the San Francisco Bay Area, they did studies where people were supposed to evacuate off of a train car, and they found that people that did the best were ones that you told them what to do rather than what not to do. Repetitions are more important than standing around talking. Number 7 here, that's definitely true. We're trying to get as many reps in practice as we can and not spend our individual or group time just standing around talking about it and analyzing it. When you take over a team and it's been struggling, or if your program has been struggling, the first way I think you can show kids success is what they do in the weight room. Okay, because if they start making gains in the weight room, they get more confidence, and you can show just in stark contrast what they were before to what they are now. In terms of our offense, I've been to schools where, at the very least, at the beginning of the end of the first year, we'd say, well, look, we accomplished a 400% improvement in the offensive production this year, or a 200% increase in scoring. There's something you can do, and it makes people buy in. Number 9, recognize what players can do rather than criticize what they can't do. And then number 10, be consistent and persistent, because consistency breeds confidence and persistence breeds character. Okay, here we go on the double wing offense. The basics of the offense is very simple. Like I said, it's going to be simplicity, but the holes are numbered for the offense on the right side of the center, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So 2 is between the center guard, 4 is between the guard tackle, 6 hole between the tackle and tight end, 8 is anything outside. On the left side are the odd numbers, same way. 1 in the A gap, basically 3 in the B gap, 5 in the C gap, 7 is outside. So all of our plays are going to have a back number and a hole number, and as we go through the clips, we'll go and show you exactly how that happens. Here's the player numbers. Quarterback is 1, fullback is 2. Our 2 wing backs, the one on the odd number side is 3, the one on the even number side is 4. Our tight ends also carry the ball on occasion, so we number them as well. The tight end on the odd number side is 5, and the tight end on the even number side is 6. Okay, on the screen, of course, we're on the left. Our splits are almost 0. They're foot to foot. There are occasions where we'll get a little bit of a split, but you see our team is going left to right on the photo right here. That's our 2-back, our fullback right behind the quarterback. And we got 2 wing backs who are cocked in at about a 45-degree angle to the tight end. We tell our wing backs, on various years they've been in a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance. I like the 3-point stance. We tell them they ought to be in a position where they're looking at an inside linebacker, threatening an inside linebacker. So what you see in the clips coming up is this formation, and we'll identify the player. Obviously, the right wing back there, number 32, who's just about to get down in his stance. He's our our four back. The wing back on the left is our 3 back, and our quarterback is our number 1. So we've got 5 base plays. The first 4 are run plays, and the 5th play is a boot pass, which is a play action pass. It's also a real good run, actually. So I've got some pass clips that are pass plays, but our quarterback, he has a rule that if he sees 9 yards of green grass, he's got to take off. So we'll call a pass play quite often, and he'll just take off and run. So the first play we're going to go over is a 36. That's a 3 back through the 6 hole, or the 4 back through the 5 hole. That's an off-tackle pitch. For most people, that's a power play, pulling both the guard and the tackle, kicking out with a fullback. So on the screen is the descriptions of how we would run the play against a 50 front. And we're going to talk about either a 50 being an odd front or any kind of an even front as a 40. I don't care if it's a 4-4, 6-2, 6-5, 6-1, 4-3. Those are all even fronts. Anything with an odd, that's a 3-3 stack, a 5-3, a 3-4, 7-1. Any of those are going to be odd. So when our kids go to the line of scrimmage, they know they've got an even front or an odd front, and our center makes that call. So our pitch play, which, I call it an RPO. RPO to us means run power often. It also means run people over. So this is our RPO. We've got our formation right here. This is, I don't know the down and distance for you, but obviously we're at the 5 or inside the 5. So what we're looking at is, here's our basic assignments. That nose is going to get a double team. We're trying to get a double-double. 2 double teams every time we run the pitch. So our center and our right guard, in this case a 36 pitch, we're going to try to double that nose guard. Our right tackle and our right tight end are going to double the next adjacent lineman for the defense, which would be the defensive tackle. And then our fullback is going to kick out the defensive end. In this particular team, these guys clear up here on the outside are actually the corners. So across the front is 7 people. But we don't really care that it's 7. We just care that there's an odd front right here. So you're also going to find a feature about this offense. You can block it very poorly. You can figure, why is that guy blocking there? Why is he missing that guy? But you'll see a great deal of success with it, even though it can be blocked poorly. I know Don Markham always said he wanted to have a bad play that could still get 4 yards. And if we get 4 yards of crack, then the chains are moving and the game's over. So this is 36 pitch against a 50. Or an odd front. Key thing for us right here is this fullback kicking out this guy. He doesn't get him great, and he even gets knocked to the ground, but we're in the end zone. Here we go against a team that's normally a 3-3, kind of a stack front defense, but they bring up the people on the outside, so we call it a 5-3. It's a 36, 3 back through the 6 hole. Normally the quarterback is going to go up through the hole as well. He didn't even touch anybody. He's supposed to block the corner. This is an interesting look right here because it's the next 2 clips. The first, this is obviously a 50. You got a nose, you got 5-man line. Back here behind them, though, 2 inside backers and 2 outside backers. Normally, people that run a 52, this guy's a corner. Well, you look at number 51, there's no way that guy physically is a corner. It's because they're playing our offense. So you've got an odd front. No matter how many people are back here at linebackers, we just know it's an odd front. So we're blocking a 50 front. 45 now, our 4-back right here with the gold shoes, 3-time All-State player, incidentally, once on defense, twice on offense. He's running the ball through the 5 hole right out here off our left tackle. So we're going to try to get a double on the nose out of our center and our left guard, double on the D tackle out of our tight end and our left tackle, and then we're going to try to kick out this defensive end. This is a bad matchup because this defensive end right here is probably about 6'3", 6'4", 260, 270, and our fullback weighs about 190. But what we can do is we can get a little bit of a crease as long as we're getting our down blocks, our doubles well, and get people into that hole, which we do right here. So we're going to start this play. Nose guard goes low, and we actually want our center to have his head on the other side. We want his head on this side and the guard's head on the other side, and we get a double. Our tight end and our tackle on the left side are getting a double because they've stood him up already, rolled him onto his back, and then we bring our guard and tackle through. And that's a good play. Here's a 36 pitch. Now it doesn't look like it's going to be it looks like it's going to be an even front because there's 4 linemen. But this guy right here standing up is actually the nose. So here I tagged it as a 5-4 again. Same personnel. These guys back here are really pretty much not DB types. They're all linebacker types. This guy right here could play anywhere. But we're just going to call this a 50 front because we know this guy right here is the nose. So to run a 36, we're going to get our 3 back through the 6 hole, get a double on this nose, get a double on this humongous D tackle, try to kick out the end right here and get us a play. And this is a case where our right tight end, he went to block down, and this D tackle disappeared inside. Well, our tackle, he's responsible to make sure nobody gets in between him and the hip of the guard. So he's blocking down hard, and when that D tackle disappears, our tight end just went to the next available guy. Okay, here we're going against a 50. Sometimes on these shots that are far away, you can't really tell what the front is. And I think right now this guy standing up way over here, he's actually a corner walked up to the boundary. So here's our 3 inside linebackers, and this is actually a corner. But he doesn't look like he's waiting for a pass, does he? So they've got an odd front, 3 backers. This is a corner, that's a corner, and they got 1 free safety. This is in the district playoffs, second round of the district playoffs. This might even be the first play from scrimmage. First down on the marker. Our backside tight end, this is a really critical thing. Our backside tight end is trying to cut the defensive lineman inside him so we don't get pursuit. And you see a pile here, and that'll work. The other great thing about this play, just in this shot, our left tackle, this is number 70 right here on the free safety. Saw the free safety pre-snap. He was the only DB back there. Number 70 is about 6'4", 330, and he ends up running downfield as far as the back does. He did a great job getting up in the hole, and he's still running.
All you for another 27-1.
Okay, now this is really a great play, one of my favorite plays. This is a key matchup in our conference with a team north of us. They are a 5-3 defense, an odd stack defense, and this illustrates the top a couple different calls we have to change this play. So normally we want our fullback kicking out that D end right there, and he's looking. You can see from his helmet, he's looking inside, waiting for that kick out. And of course, typically we're going to get our double-double, play side tight end, play side tackle, play side guard and center are going to get 2 doubles started. But when we say window, that's a term for us for our wingback. We say when you look outside, you're looking out a window. So we want you to look outside rather than look for a backer. When he looks outside, he's actually going to make the kick-out block on that D end. Well, that means that our wingback and our fullback have now changed jobs. They've exchanged jobs in the play. So our wingback is going to kick out this D end. Our fullback will get up in the hole, and now he's looking for the first inside linebacker he comes to. So that's one call, window. We do that as a change-up because, as you'll see, they're just not ready for it. This guy's waiting for he's either looking for a down block or he's looking for a kick out, and we give him a kick out block by the wingback who's lined up right across from him. Now the next part of this call is solo. That tells our guys that of the guard and tackle, only the first guy is going to pull. If we're expecting someone to give us a real mess here, chasing us down, or maybe they've got a 3 technique instead of a 4-eye, and it's hard for us to make a cut down that low, we're going to go ahead and just say solo, which pulls only our guard. And what you find in this play is our pulling guard, our left guard is number 51. He's going to pull and get up in the hole. He actually gets to that free safety right there. And then all that's left is for our wingback to outrun the corners, and we got to play. So here we go. So that's a 36 pitch against a 5-3. Okay, against an even front, basically you still want to get 2 double teams. So this time though, our center is going to block back. Playside guard and playside tackle will block the guy we call number 1, the first interior defensive lineman. Playside tight end, and now our playside wing, who steps up on the line of scrimmage, will get the next double team. And our fullback is still trying to kick out the end man on the line. In our notes, various places you might call him an outside backer or a D-end or an EMOL, end man on the line. So those are our assignments for an even front, and we'll go through some clips for an even front. Backside guard and backside tackle are still pulling. We train them to pull. We want them in the hole in 3 steps with their eyes inside. Backside tight end, he's got a cut block, and our backside wing back obviously is in motion. So this is against an even. This is another one of the teams that in the preseason, I voted these guys probably in the top 3 teams in our conference in it. They definitely were a very good team. Here they are in basically a 6-3, so it's an even front. We just call it an even. We know our center is going to block back, and we're still going to get a double-double. Now, our right wing back, it's a 45. So now our left wing back is up on the line of scrimmage, just because so he can double team with the tight end. There are plays we run with him there. Later, you'll see a couple that we do where he doesn't have to, where that doesn't tip us off, so that we know it's not going to be a pitch. Could be a reverse. We could even run a pass out of that. So we'll go back and take a look at this out of this even. There's probably 2 clips of this even front right here coming up real shortly. Now we want our wing back to get up inside a little bit more. And right about here, there's our guard and our quarterback coming through the hole. So 24 is looking for the corner, but we wanted our wing back to get up in the hole. However, if a guy is going to run for 1,500 yards and he makes that cut, I'm not going to get on his case about it. Here we go, same defense. Let me get to the next another frame. Here we go, same team, same defense. It's also a 45 pitch. Now, what I want to look is at the double teams. This guy right here is already on his knees. The interior D tackle is already on his knees. The next guy, who I would call the DN, this guy an outside backer, this guy is going to get rolled. And you could probably see, might be a Volkswagen Bug or something. You could probably drive it through that hole. Here's another even front. It's obviously just a 6-2. This is a district championship game. The only reason we don't have snow on the field is because our athletic director went out there with a soft drag and drug it all off. Most everybody else in Missouri had snow then, and we were playing at about 20 degrees with a 15, 20-mile-an-hour wind, so the wind chill was down around 12 or 14 degrees. One of those kind of games where very memorable, but you're happy to win it. The guys on the other side were probably a little colder. So here's a 45 pitch. Again, our left wing back's up on the line of scrimmage. We tell our guys really to always look for a cutback. And it's harder in the double wing. We used to run this out of I formation or out of a stack I. It's a little easier to look for a cutback when you're in the eye, but we still get it sometimes out of the double wing. Okay, now the next thing, one thing Don Markham told me always, and I'll remember this forever, you can make a living on 2 plays, the off-tackle pitch and a trap. And he was right. I can say 29 years later, he was right. I've made a living on just the 2 plays. And if you can't stop the pitch or the trap, the game's going to be over. So we have a trap now that goes with our pitch play. So the guy that we've been double teaming over and over and over, his coach is yelling at him, get lower, go submarine harder, get in there, constantly. Then we're going to trap the guy. So what you see is we're still going to count the defensive line players from inside out. So against an odd, the nose is number 1, the D tackle is number 2, the next guy out is number 3. So our goal, as you look at the instructions for our blockers, we want to double number 1, trap number 2, and fake number 3. So that's what we're going to see in the next few clips of trap. We call it a 23 or 24 trap because our fullback is getting the ball. We're still going to have the same motion as our pitch, but when our quarterback turns around, he's just going to real deftly hand the ball to the fullback as he spins around, and then he's going to fake to the wingback to the outside. So we're going to double this guy, trap this guy, and try to fake out this guy. Everybody else is trying to get to a backer. So this is a trap right here. And this season, I'm taking all these clips out of just the 2018 season. I could show a bunch of great ones, but we had some young players in certain positions, and this was early in the year, this clip. So our fullback's actually pretty young. He was just a sophomore, and we're still learning a lot of these plays. 2 back in the 4 hole. The guy we trapped took himself so far upfield, we didn't even need to block him. We tell our guys, our pulling guard, we want you to make a path toward the corner and trap whatever's in your way. This is a 24 again, going to our right against an odd front team. Here's another odd front. And we're in the end zone. So you've got to capitalize on the fact that people are getting double teamed all the time, and they're trying to fight harder to do that. Okay, here's a team that we got to play this year later in the season, and they're just pretty much a dyed-in-the-wool 4-3 team. They're 4-3 in everything they do. So we planned everything to be a 4-3, 6-1, something of an even front. We showed up that game. It might have been the last game of the season for our regular season, and they're in a 5-3. So right here, it's our 24, so our 2 back is going to go through the 4 hole. Our center and our right guard is going to double the nose. And then here's this great big D tackle right here. We're going to try to trap this guy. He's about 300 pounds. We're going to try to trap him with a guy that weighs about 185. So this is a 24 trap. The size of these guys, if you look at the butts of our offensive linemen, brings me to another one of my offensive philosophies. I call it my 5-wide philosophy. I try to find the 5 widest guys I have and put them on the line of scrimmage in between the 2 tight ends. So I had a preview article I answered, and I told the guy I ran a 5-wide offense, and he bought that. So let's see this 24 trap. Okay, so that's against an odd front. Now we do a trap against an even front, any kind of even. Again, the center's going to block back now because there's no nose. Now we're still trying to get a double team on the number 1, which is going to be a D tackle. Our play side tight end and our play side wing are both going for linebackers. And still, so double on number 1, trap number 2, fake number 3. 23 trap, so it's coming to our left. .24 trap coming to our right. Same front, same game. So we've got 6 guys in the line of scrimmage. And we're going to try to fake out anybody back here. Now, we've run this play enough that they don't get faked as often, and we got to work on our faking skills. Okay, third play. Remember, we've got 4 base run plays, 1 base pass play. So now 38 and 47 scissors. that's obviously one of our wing backs running wide. Basically, wing T people would call that a buck sweep. It's a two-guard sweep. West Coast offense back in the day would be called, I can't believe I said West Coast back in the day, two-guard sweep. So our center is going to block the nose by himself. Our play side tackle will block down. Play side guard is going to pull. Play side tackle will block down. Play side wing is going to block the end man on the line. So now instead of kicking out the end man on the line, we're actually going to try to block him and keep him inside with our wing. And we have to change that up every now and then based on what people do. If that end man fights outside quite a bit, we may just send our wing back on down to the next linebacker and let that end man squeeze down with him and log him with a guard. But our fullback is going to carry out a trap fake, and he's going to try to carry that ball well enough and tight and low enough that one of those linebackers thinks he's got the ball in the trap. And if he can carry that thing right to the linebacker, we've got a much better play. So that's what our fullback's got to do. And the quarterback is going to fake to the fullback, and he doesn't even fake it with the ball clear out. He sometimes will pull the ball to his belly, and the fullback will make the fake all by himself because the quarterback's got to get the ball back there and hand off to our wingback. Now on the backside, our backside tight end can do a cut block or release downfield, try to get to a linebacker. But when you do that, the angle is so bad they almost never get to a linebacker. So one other thing we have them do is run a deep route, which you'll see later in our base pass play. So this is a scissors, and it actually can be a good play even if you don't get both guards out there. So and I don't think we even got both guards out on this play. The back guard didn't even get there. But when you're all looking at off-tackle pitch all the time or trap, this is a play that's a real change-up and gets outside pretty quick. So here's an odd front. This is a 50. We saw this earlier running a couple pitches. This guy's the nose right there. So we just called this a 50. So the number one rule on this is our wing now is going to try to seal this guy inside. So that's the thing. Normally we're going to double him, kick him out. Now we're going to try to keep him sealed inside with our wing. We didn't get any guards out, and we got a play out of it. So that defense is basically a 5-4-2, 9 guys up front and only 2 safeties, and one of the safeties got us. Quarterback should be booting out the backside. And contrary to what I said just a minute ago, our backside tight end actually got up and blocked somebody. Okay, against an even front, going to be the same principles. We're still going to try to pull 2 guards, but sometimes we have to do a lot of change-ups in the blocking, particularly on the backside. We tell our backside tackle, he's going to what we call sandwich block, which means the center blocks back. Sometimes we play it on teams if they're a 4-4 team. They've got a great big guy that's maybe 300 pounds playing a 2-eye or a shade. And we want to basically do a low-low kind of a combo block with our center and our backside tackle just to make sure we seal up that backside A-gap really well. He could also try to get off. If we think our center can block back by himself, our backside tackle can get off the line and go block a linebacker. On the screen it says backside tight end. It actually should be backside tackle. So here we go. This is a 47 scissors that's coming at us. And this is one where our left wing didn't block the end man. But we knew the end man was going to squeeze down a little bit with him. And that kind of carried that end man in just a little bit. And they were able to get our guards outside, at least our near guard, and both guards. So it's quite a bit different play than running pitch and trap, but it's a great change-up. Here we go against a 6-2. In that case, the end man disappeared in, so our right wing back just decided, hey, I'm going to go find someone else to block. That's a 38 scissor against a 6-2. So now we go to one of the most fun plays we do. It's a reverse. It's a double handoff reverse. And what we're going to treat it like is any other 6-hole play with only a few minor exceptions. So a 36 reverse means that at some point the 3-back is going to carry the ball through the 6-hole. So the center and the play side guard are going to have a double team on the nose. Play side tackle and the play side tight end are going to double team the defensive tackle. But in this case now, our play side wing, he can't block. He's going to go in motion and take the first handoff. So, and our fullback is going to step away from the play initially. So now our backside guard has a kick out, and our backside tackle and our fullback will pull through the hole. You'll get to see a few examples of that, and then we also do our option game off of this as well. So this is a 45, so it's going to come toward us. This 3-back is in motion, and he's going to take a handoff from the quarterback, we say right behind the guard. So we want our first handoff to happen behind this near guard. The second handoff will occur behind the other guard, and this is our play. It's a reverse. Quarterback, he's going to keep coming out here because in a minute we're going to end up pitching to him just like an option. Here we go, right here. This is probably going to be one of them. Here's our quarterback. Wingback's about to get tackled. He pitches. So we practice that all the time in practice. We say, hey, when do you know to pitch it? We pitch it every time in practice. Every time in practice. So we found that it's more successful that way than trying to make them make a decision. Because in practice, you don't get a good look from the scout team. But what you do get is you get a quarterback that's in the proper relationship to the wingback, so we can pitch that thing. Let me run that one back one more time if I can get everything to work just right here. So here we go. We're going to run our pitch. So we're going to get a double team, double, just like our 36 pitch. But our guard kicks out number 52 right there. The ball carrier goes up inside with the fullback and the tackle. Then when he makes a break outside, as he's going to get tackled, he can pitch right there. So people call it sometimes a reverse option. It's not really necessarily an option, but we option it. So we just call it reverse because that thing's there all the time. Here we go again, another 50. That corner on top, we're going to hand back, but sometimes it's not a clean thing, so we just cut it up and made a play out of it. Probably ran it up the 3-hole or the 4-hole. Okay, here's a team that's got everybody up. Kind of a 7-4. So what we decided to do is we're actually kicking out one more guy, one nearer guy to us, and running it in just a little bit tighter. And cut it in there really tight. Now, reverse to an even front, you got some decisions to make. If you double team number 1, that takes care of your play side guard and play side tackle. They're going to double team. The next lineman for the defense is going to get a single block from our tight end. So we got to decide, can our tight end block that D end by himself? If he can, we'll keep running it in the 6-hole. If he can't, sometimes we'll actually make that tight end go block someone else, either out or to a linebacker, and we'll run this play 1 hole narrower. Instead of running the 6-hole, we'd run it in the 4-hole. Or on the odd side, instead of running a 5, we'll run it in a 3. So there's a decision that's got to be made. Can your play side tight end block by himself, or do you need to send him out and block somebody else? So we still get double team out of we double team the defensive tackle, block with our tight end if we can. Fullback is still stepping backside and then coming back through. He does that because all those linebackers that are used to watching us run pitch, we want them to see the side of our fullback's helmet. So when he takes that first step one direction and the ball is going to come back the other way, a lot of times we'll get both linebackers to at least take a downhill step toward what they think is going to be our pitch play. So there it is against that 6-3, and here's a great look at the option on the end of it. I'll go back here. We didn't even get a very good cut block here on the backside. We shouldn't be cutting this guy. We should be cutting the next guy in. But our center did a good job stepping back. We made good handoffs. And here's another point. The first wingback that gets the first handoff After he makes the second handoff, a lot of times he's going to have to pick up some interference chasing down the backside, which you can see right here our fullback does. As soon as he gets rid of the ball, he's got to take a piece of this backside end right there, so no one chasing. You can see how badly these linebackers wanted to get in on our pitch play. These guys right here are coming downhill fast, and they get caught up by a lot of blockers. And as soon as your O-line coach holds his hands up, you know it's a good play. Okay, now some teams you can get this done, but if you look at this team right here, they're really in a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 interior linemen, 2 guys standing up. I don't know, sometimes people will shade a guy away from our best wingback. So they think they're going to be catching our best wingback. So we have a variety of plays to compensate for that, but it's obviously 6 guys up front. So I'm calling this guy one of the 6-2, and he's shaded over here to this hole. But if you get him when they're not that disciplined, you can get this guy, this guy, this guy, all flying upfield to run the reverse right underneath them. And we don't pitch this one, we just run the reverse. Our fullback didn't even have anybody to block. Our fullback, little number 33 here, he weighs about 170. He's going to come out here and just kind of look around. I can't find anybody to block. Okay, now we get to a pass play. You know, I think we ran the ball for about 4,000 yards this year, and I think we passed the ball for about 700 yards, something like that. It doesn't matter to me necessarily, but you just tell the relationship of run to pass. There have been years, though, that we've run the ball for 3,000 or 4,000 yards and still thrown for 1,000. We've had ball carriers. We've had 2 different 1,000-yard ball carriers on the same team, plus a fullback that maybe runs 900 yards and still had a quarterback throw for 1,000 yards. But you basically have to throw for 100 yards a game, which in Oregon was about our average, 100, 120 yards a game throwing, 300 or 400 yards passing. So we're going to run a boot pass. You see a lot of clips of it. But against an odd front, the center is going to block the nose. Playside tackle is going to block the D tackle. Our playside guard is going to pull, and our fullback is going to fill that space. So we're asking him to look for an inside linebacker coming. If that inside linebacker blitzes, he's got to hit him before he releases on an arrow route, a sideline route at about 3 yards. If he doesn't get a linebacker coming, he's just going to release and run the arrow. Our playside fullback runs what we call a deep banana. It's a curved route. It's not necessarily a flag route. It's not a post corner. It's just going to curve. So we just call it a deep banana. And, you know, if we're on the 10-yard line, a deep banana isn't as deep as it is when we're on the 40-yard line. So we're just asking him to run a deep, curving out route that we can lead him with the ball to the outside. Okay, here we are against a 5-3, and this is a 17 boot. Now, again, we numbered it just like the runs. This means our one back is trying to get out in the 7 hole, so he's trying to get outside. That's why we call it 17. On the other side, it's 18. So we got a wing back in motion. The wing back is going to go in motion. He's either going to block on the backside. Sometimes he'll run a little release or a wheel route on the backside so we can throw back to that. I don't have any throwback cut-ups on here, but it's a possibility. So here's a 17 boot against a 5-3 team. In motion, if we get 2 guys coming off the edge, we want our guard to take the second guy, the outside guy, because we figure we can always outrun the inside guy. Now, the mom standing up in the crowd probably is the mom of the guy that caught the ball. I don't know. Could be. But just look at that one more shot. 17 boot pass against a 50. Our fullback's going to go right in where our guard leaves, and he's going to come out here and run the arrow. He's not open. I don't know. They got someone big covering him, but he's not open. However, the guy in the deep banana is open. Here we go. This is a great play to show a couple different things. We call this an 18 boot 3 deep because normally we've got our play side tight end. It's going to run the deep banana. Our backside tight end normally runs about a 10-yard drag across the field. Our backside wing runs some kind of a skinny or a go route on the backside. But what we see right here, we got two safeties. So when we see two safeties, we actually want to put a stress on those safeties. Instead of running our backside tight end on a crossing route, we're going to send him straight up the middle of the field. So we've got a deep banana out of the play side tight end, a seam by the backside tight end, and our backside wing is going to run a fade out here. So we've divided that field into thirds against two safeties. But this play right here is going to show you one of the rules our quarterback has, and that is if you see 9 yards of green grass, run. So you're going to see a guy wide open down the middle, and I think we're on about the 4-yard line here, 5-yard line, wide open down the middle, and we're not going to throw it to him. So a lot of times I'll get, why don't you throw the ball more? And I say, well, I call this pass play all the time. But now the quarterback runs, and now he's got a 95-yard touchdown run to his credit. And so our rushing stats in one play just went up almost another 100 yards. But, boy, the pass play was wide open. So that's an 18 boot with a 3 deep against an odd front. Here it is again. This is basically a 5-2. These are the two backers right here. We're going to get a play side guard pulling. Now, what we did on this play, we called it an 18 boot switch. When we say switch, our backside two receivers are going to exchange routes. So the backside tight end, he's going to have the seam, and the backside wing back is going to run that crossing route at about 10 yards. And that's who we're going to hit on this particular play. This team is going to have two safeties, and we didn't call the 3 deep, but we did hit this guy crossing. He's going to come into your picture late. Boom, right there. That's a first down catch on 3rd down. Okay, we call it switch. 18 boot switch, 17 boot switch. We have a couple other tags for our plays, and we give them words. Usually they're names of places, but switch is an easy one. Reminds them what exactly they need to do. Here's a 17 boot against an odd front. Another case where this guy that's out here, number 3, he's supposed to be the corner. But you've got 9 guys up here in the box, 2 safeties, and we're going to end up running this ball. Wing back in motion. Guard pulls. Now we want that guard to get outside. He pulled up short. We want him to get outside. And our quarterback was so quick on that one, I don't think the official saw whether his foot was even in bounds when he made a cut. But I tell you honestly, I had to tell him later, that's the most amazing cut because he planted his foot right in bounds and went upfield. It was a great play. So here we go. Here's another tag for our play. This would be the last one of the odd front cut-ups. We say Yukon because it's a Y crossing route. And it's an 18, so we know our quarterback is going to be booting toward the 8 hole. But what we do now, we're going to send our backside tight end on his drag, our backside wing back on a go. This wing back is going to go in motion and block backside. We're going to send our fullback out like normal. But our play side tight end that normally runs the deep banana, he's actually going to cross underneath everything and come out here on the backside. And you'll see what happens on this. But for us, we tell our backside tight end, you got to come screaming across the field. You're not really running a drag anymore. You're trying to go from where you're at straight to that 25-second clock. You got to get across diagonal and fill the area where our play side tight end would have been. So he's really trying to go from here clear over to here. And our wing back's going to go up the field. So here's what happens to our this tight end right here on an 18 boot when we say Yukon. Here's where he came from. Watch our left tight end, left wing back, and then here comes the right tight end. That's Yukon. 2-point plays are a really nice time to try some of those things because, as the rule book says, Team B cannot return a try. So you either get 2 points out of it or nothing. You never have a turnover that hurts you. And going for 2 all the time, you only need to make every other one to make your points. So that's a Yukon. It's a great play. One more time, I think, then I'll click on the next frame. Okay, I'm just going to run through this again. It's an even front. Sometimes we'll check 18 boot fullback, which means we won't pull anybody. We'll just send our fullback toward the play side, end man on the line, take a piece of him on the way to run an arrow. Sometimes we'll figure a way to go ahead and pull the guard and either block the center play side and get everybody kind of reached on the play side. I don't know that even any of these clips have a fullback call on it, but these are some of the. That's a 17 boot. Didn't give you a lot of lead time on it, but this one will. Here's against a 6'3" team, 17 boot. And there are other guys other than the NFL that can throw back across their body the other direction. And that was one of them. So here's an 18 boot. We want to get it's a 6'3", so there's going to be 2 guys off the outside. We would like to get our right guard to the widest guy. See, he pulled up right here. We want that guard to keep running and get outside because I think our quarterback can outrun anybody else. But, of course, if you've got a 6'3" defense or a 6'5", you're not looking for this pass play. So we've got our crossing route tight end, our fullback, and our deep banana guy right there who caught the ball. All of them are open, so it could hit any of them. And, of course, like I said, the 18 boot is a good quarterback run play. Here we are on about the 7 or 8 yard line. This time our guard actually ran out there, but fortunately our quarterback was faster than anybody else on the field at that part of the field, so he ran it in for a touchdown. In addition to our offensive lineman, or our offensive line coach holding his hands up, the other guy that holds his hands up was Jace right here. He probably held his hands up more than anybody in Missouri. You know, the old saying about it's not over till the fat lady sings. It's not over till Jace holds his hands up. Okay, now, here's a great play to do, and I just put a couple clips of this in here. We call it motion right, no play. When a team really starts to jump on your cadence, our cadence is down, ready, set, go. Very simple. But teams are really trying to come off the ball, so an easy 5 yards is just called motion right, no play. We put our motion wing back into the I formation, make him just sit in a 2-point stance. We often run the pitch play out of that, so he's going to go in motion like normal. And this just happens. Sometimes you can get a team on this 3, 4, 5 times a game. So during a penalty enforcement, that's a great time to talk to your team. If you don't get them to jump, you do it when you think you can use a timeout. Just get a timeout and go talk to them. It's a great technique, though. Just go ahead and call a no play. Now, teams, of course, against this offense start putting more and more people to the line of scrimmage. So you get up here with 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, some of whom are not used to getting on the line of scrimmage. You can get them pretty easy. That's a 5-yard pickup. I don't even know what the down and distance is. I see one of the chains over there, but I'm not sure what the... Here's one fun play right here at the end. We call it 63 counter. Could probably also call it 65 counter. The 3-hole tells you we're blocking it like a trap. 5-hole would tell you we're going to try to block down with our tackle rather than trap it. But this guy right here, number 1, our right tight end, that's the 6 back. So he's going to take that ball and he's going to run out here in the 5-hole. And this is a time when, you think people are just going to go flying toward the pitch. It's a great handoff play. Again, it's another great play to run on a 2-point conversion. If you have any kind of bobbles on a handoff, can't hurt you. But it's a great play. And the other way would be a 54 counter or a 56 counter. We're going to send our we're going to set our fullback a little bit deeper and send him out this way. We're going to send our motion back out there, and we tell him he's going to try to pretend that he caught a pitch and just run it out there, and all we're pulling is a guard to come back and trap. Our right guard pulls back here to trap. He can't find anybody to block because once the action all went away, everybody on the defense went that side. So this is a 63. We call it a 63 counter, but our left tight end wound up blocking, so it's a 65. This guy right here is our right tight end. Tight end wanted to run a trap, but it was open out here. 63 counter. Really fun play. I appreciate the chance to talk to you. If I can help you in any way, please get in touch with me. The double wing offense is great for us, and I'm going to keep running it. Thanks.